From UBN Studios, you're listening to UNSUGARCOATED with Aalia, bringing you interviews with public figures and inspirational people speaking on self-improvement with empowering themes. And I'm your host, Aalia Lanius. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite social good podcast show. I'm happy to be here. A couple different things I'm going to talk about today, but one of them, I'm actually going to bring up something that would surprise people to learn about me. I'm going to give you a little insight on me. I love to refurbish furniture. I love to build things. To go into a bit of a deeper level on that, though, I've come to realize it's actually been part of my healing process from trauma, believe it or not. I've learned to see the beauty of being able to create something new. And I guess from a person who's experienced trauma, what that means is that you can create something new, right? Like whatever existed before, it's okay. You can start from scratch. You can build over. And building something from scratch and looking at the end product, there's a sense of pride as well, right? And same thing, I also love taking an old piece of furniture and bringing it back to this newness in a way that shows the world it never lost its value. So yeah, there's definitely some deeper meaning there for me. I think that we are resilient people. We've been talking about trusting the process thus far in the season, and we continue that. How do we trust the process? Why do we need to trust the process? Think about the times in your life where you've trusted the process. For many of you, the words you're hearing through the course of this season has been validation for you, perhaps. Or maybe you've picked up something and said, I'm gonna give a bit more gratitude as I'm trusting the process. I'm gonna give a bit more faith and trust the unknown. I'm gonna recognize the value I bring to every situation. That's what trusting the process means and does for us. And you need to know that you are doing the right thing when you trust the process. You're on the right path, and it's very exciting. Today's guest is both empowering, and she happens to be incredibly handy. And on the note of empowering women, we're also going to talk a little bit about body positivity, because this is a woman who I see just like myself. We're very comfortable in who we are. We've arrived at a moment where we will apologize to nobody for who we are, how we look, how we show up, because we know we're showing up in the best way. And the reason why this is important to me is because, at least today on today's filming, the Met Gala was not too long ago, Met Gala 2022. Everybody was excited. Everyone was doing their fast to get into their dress. Well, I was really sad that Kim K came out and said that she lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks to get into the infamous iconic gown that belonged to Marilyn Monroe. Now, this is not me picking on Kim K, because that's actually, I don't have a problem with that. However, in a world where women and girls are struggling with body dysmorphia, eating disorders, how we already love ourselves and see ourselves as enough. Let me tell you, putting out the idea that it's okay to lose 16 pounds in 3 weeks to get into a dress is neither healthy or a good message. And people like myself that know this, we are standing up and we're speaking out because we need to reinforce a better message for our women and our young girls, right? So that's part of the conversation that we're going to have today. So I'm excited to discuss that and bring her into the conversation. So without further ado, let's get started and bring her on, right? She is Summer Azul, philanthropist, entrepreneur, and pioneer. A single mother living in Atlanta, Georgia. Her titles include being a former beauty queen, model, actress, athlete, music artist, and film director. Over the course of a pandemic, though, she has launched My Super Quarantine Life, a web series that she had created, and other projects. Along with her daughter, they are showing the world what is possible when you can do it yourself. Here to talk about body positivity, very capable women. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Summer Azul. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I am so glad and happy to see your face. For those of you watching, we can see that you are outside. This does not surprise me because you are, I mean, it's incredible. We both became connected on social media and I just loved seeing you bust out chainsaws and everything. So, first of all, where are you talking to us from today? Let us know where the greenery is. And then if you wouldn't mind, kind of just, let's start with talking about how you got into the DIY, do-it-yourself genre.
Okay, well, right now I'm currently off grid. I'm sitting in the middle of about 68 acres. I built a off-grid village. And so, well, I'm building one now. This is my fourth one, and this is the newest one. And so we're building, and I have a community of people, and we are living off grid. We're growing our own food, building our own houses, and just doing our own thing and having some fun out here. And I'm teaching people all the things that you and I are going to be talking about today.
That's amazing. So, first of all, the pandemic happened. We all are familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
And you ended up starting My Super Quarantined Life. What did that, first of all, I mean, for those of people who don't know, what really was the pretense of that? What motivated it? What inspired it?
So when the pandemic first happened, first of all, I was extremely scared because I didn't know what was going on. But when the world kind of got shut down and we had to quarantine, I decided, okay, I have to take better care of myself so that I wouldn't get sick. I need to eat better and do all these things. So I started to garden. I started to do all these things at home, of course, because we had to be at home. But I said, you know what, these are things I think other people should be doing too. How can I teach that or show that to them without it seeming like I'm trying to tell them what to do? And so I said, you know what, I'm going to make some music videos of me outside doing gardens. I built my daughter a tiny house, just different things like that. And I'm turning it into a music video. I'm going to throw some hip hop music on there, and then people are going to be entertained while they're learning. And then it inspired people, and I started to go viral. And I said, okay, I have your attention now. Let me really dive deep. And so I turned it into a series, and I'm just always doing something, and everything that I'm doing is something positive that I think people should know. And I just do it in an entertaining way.
I love that. Now, you are a single mother of a beautiful, amazing daughter named Autumn. Tell me, we have her picture up. She's so adorable.
Oh,
how did it feel in that moment? You're creating something as a role model for her as well. Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, I want to point out the fact that I have two children. One is an adult.
Right. Yes.
I have a son. Yeah. And he doesn't like to be on camera much. I do sneak him in there every once in a while, but he doesn't like to be on camera much. And then I have my baby girl, and she and I are, I don't know if you can hear her in the background. She says she's not a baby girl, but she and I are besties. And so it's very important to me to be a good role model to both of them, because I want to give them all the things that I feel like, first of all, I didn't get, growing up. And as an adult, I started to realize, oh, I needed someone to teach me that, or, oh, I wish I would have learned that when I was younger. And so those are the things I try to install in them. And so since I know those are things that help me as an adult, I know there's a lot of other adults out there that didn't get that help. So, me inspiring them is just really a response to me making sure that I'm being a role model for my children.
Very true. And I can appreciate that. And yes, I did know you have an adult son. And it was funny because I didn't mean to exclude him at all. I just know that when it came to the pandemic, there was, having the smaller child and having to manage that, probably a lot different stress factors, right? But you hit on something that I think is very important because, I know that for a lot of women, it's important to be capable, right? And you're not just teaching your daughters empowerment, but you're also teaching her to be resourceful, and you've expanded it to your community. So when we talk about women being able to do things, that boys do, what are your thoughts on that part of the conversation?
Yeah. You know what? I never really thought about it that way until I started doing these things and people asked me about it. And it was just never something I thought about, because I grew up doing these things. My dad was a contractor. And so sometimes I would go to work with him, or, he just always did these things with me, even around the house when he built a deck or did plumbing or whatever. So it was just a part of my life. And he never made it seem as though, I was learning something, other girls weren't. And so I never thought about it in that sense. Now, when I got married, my husband was a little amazed that I could do, some of these things, but he didn't make a big deal out of it. And so it wasn't until I started doing the videos that I even got asked these questions. And I feel like it shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, we're capable.
Yes.
It's just the fact that over the years, all the women oppression and the things that we go through as women, and how long it hasn't even been that long since we had the right to vote. And so it's because of that makes people think, oh, you're doing this DIY stuff, how do you feel? I don't feel any type of way. I'm just living life, you know what I mean? And so that's I wish to get that that same mentality as the standard, because it really is. I'm building, because I have two hands and I'm capable of doing it. It's not, to me, it's not about because I'm trying to do, what a man can do to prove how strong I am or something. Women are strong. We bear children.
Yes.
There's no more strength than that. You know what I mean? And I know that, over time, you see more women doing the things that I'm doing, and it becomes more common, then it will be, a different outlook on that.
Yeah, absolutely. What is okay? And you, I love you're not afraid to do anything. You'll paint rooms, you'll get into stuff. But what's been one of your favorite projects thus far?
I think my favorite one was the girl cave that I made, because it was my personal space, and I went in there and I just really did everything that I felt was going to give me peace, and that included changing light fixtures and hanging up TVs on the wall and all that good stuff. But it was what I wanted, and so I went in there and I just did my thing, and it came out beautiful. And that was actually the first video that went viral. Well, when I was doing it, I didn't think about, social media at all. I was just thinking about how nice this is going to look. And so it was just amazing to me that video is what started it all. And that's my favorite renovation. I'm in that room every day. Well, every night.
That's amazing. When I know you didn't mean for it to go viral, but when it does, what is like the greatest takeaway you want people to have from the content that you're creating when you share this?
Well, because I see that I inspire a lot of people, that makes me happy, and that motivates me to do more. So I think inspiring people, even men, to say, hey, I could do more, or hey, I can learn more, or hey, I can try to do different things, because those are the limits we put on ourselves. And we live in a society right now where it's hard for people to be creative and imagine outside of the box, because they're programmed, by TV and our phones and the internet and things like that. So for me to be able to get someone to change their mindset and say, I could do that, even if they're just painting the wall, they never thought they could do it before. They could say, I can do that. That means the world to me. So that is the biggest takeaway for me.
Yeah. When it comes to the pandemic, also you've had this unexpected impact on other people, given them some thoughts of like, oh, I could do that. One of the things I want to ask is, you had a younger child in the home during a pandemic. Do you also feel that from even a cultural family culture, do you feel that these efforts also help mitigate some of the experiences, like for your child, for her, with this, the getting up and doing these? Do you feel that those offered her something different, while a lot of kids may have not had that during the pandemic?
Oh, I really do, because that was one of the benefits for me was, her being homeschooled. I know a lot of parents were like, I don't want to, but for me, it was just like, oh my gosh, I get to spend more time with my child, molding her to be this amazing adult. And so we not only do our regular, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but we're out in nature. I teach her how to garden. She literally knows how to garden herself. Like, I wouldn't even have to be there for her to grow a garden. She's learning all these things that if it wasn't for being quarantined and for the pandemic, probably wouldn't have learned right now. I was on the journey that I am right now. So definitely.
Yeah, actually, it's ironic that you say that, It's ironic that you say that, because in parts of Europe where they have the highest, testing children, they actually attribute it to taking them out in nature and taking them outside of the classroom. And it's this mix, this hybrid of education that includes learning how to do things outside. So what now on top of that, though, you did come to this point where you've decided to turn it into a brand. So, as I had shared in your opening, you've done things before in the spotlight. You've been a model. In fact, I know you were the recipient of the 2012 International Music Award for Best Female Hip Hop Artist and Best Hip Hop Album. So you've come to this amazing moment. You're getting social media attention. You're this amazing role model, and you're familiar with what it means to be out in the public spotlight. As a matter of fact, you've been an actress, as I mentioned in the intro. You were a music artist. In fact, you were the recipient of the 2012 International Music Award for Best Female Hip Hop Artist and Best Hip Hop Album. So, you're on this. You decide to turn it into a brand. What was that moment like for you? And what were the indicators that was the move that you needed to make?
I think it was already installed in me. So because I was already in the entertainment industry, and then a couple years ago, I graduated from Full Sail University with a filmmaker's degree. And in that, they taught us basically to be entrepreneurs, but to brand yourself. Like that branding was the biggest thing, because there's a million directors, a million actresses, a million what. How do you brand yourself to stand out? And so it was just already installed in me. From all the things that I've done, all these years. And so everything that I do, it's, automatically to brand myself. So I say, okay, well, they're watching me do these DIY videos now. So let me take some pictures with a drill, and let me, make sure you put on this hard hat. I'm not a construction worker, but if I put on the hard hat, it looks like, oh, she's about to build something. And, just little like that. And so it's marketable, because then now I can make money, because I was losing money during the pandemic. I couldn't do anything.
Right.
And so I can, sell the things that they see in my videos if they want to do what I'm doing. So I had to make people want to be part of what I was doing. And if they want to be a part of what you're doing, they're going to spend money.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can put it. That was how I could make, some money during the pandemic.
Well, and I think people were connecting as well with your story, and you're a single mom, and you have a right to make money. And I don't think that people understand the creative process of what you're doing. And if, like you said, if they feel that that's something that resonates with them, then they're going to support you. So I love that. Let me, when we talk, it's interesting, we talk about branding, and we're talking about opportunities and all these things. As you heard me, and actually just more representation, as you heard me in the intro, I've brought up that, Kim K had lost 16 pounds by her own words. This is not something I'm making up. But, according to the reports, she lost 16 pounds to get into this dress. Now, you are a woman. You've been in an industry that's probably been very highly critical of you. And I feel like for a lot of us, there is a journey when it comes to self-love and body image. And we do these crash diets because of this and that. Again, I'm not picking on Kim K, but just the idea, the messaging. When you learned about that, what were your thoughts? Like, what was your initial reaction to hearing about it?
Well, just to know, someone with a lot of followers and people that look up to them, put that type of information out there. To me, I don't think she understood the magnitude of it. It's very dangerous to say, oh, I lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks. Like, that's not something that's normal. And so you don't want to make people think that, oh, I need to lose this weight, first of all, or second of all, I need to lose this weight this fast, so that's a pretty dangerous thing. I will say, though, on her behalf, in the entertainment industry, being in the spotlight, it is hard. People do criticize you. And I get that a lot now because of the videos that I make. And I hadn't been criticized on my body in a while. Like, I love myself. And, but still to hear it, sometimes the words sting a little bit. And then you have to really, have this deep inner love for yourself to be able to say, I'm not going to listen, to these people or whatever, because I love myself and I know, that I am beautiful. But I hear it a lot. And I'm on live and people say their little comments and things. Most of the time everything is positive, but you have those people out there that body shame you.
Right.
No matter what you look like. They say you're too skinny, you're too fat, or you're too this, or you're too that, or you're unproportioned. Whatever the case is, they say it. So, let people say what they say. Is really at the end of the day about how you feel about yourself. And if you think you want to lose weight, you do that, but you do it in a healthy way. If you want to lose weight, that means you want to be healthy, right? So do it in a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, for some people, it's not even about it. It definitely is to lose weight. I agree with you too, on the Kim K. As far as when you're in the public spotlight in any way, shape, or form, people feel that they can comment on those things, and they, we're always being subjected to these very critical standards on what a woman's body is supposed to look like, right? I'm aware of that, and I think that that's actually kind of the sad part to it. That's the negative part of the messaging that I see in those statements, is that, oh, well, if you lose 16 pounds and you fit into this dress, well, then that's what's going to make you beautiful. This is, and it's not true.
Right.
And going to some statistics and just really truly loving yourself enough to know, like, look, to anybody who's listening to this, my point is, love yourself enough to know that that's not actually always the answer. And that, even just the messaging that may be safe, because so, for example, some statistics, according to the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, 91% of college-age women admit to dieting to control their weight. Not a surprise. 81% of 10-year-old children are afraid of being fat. Like, that is something that really blows my mind, because that means most 10-year-old kids are aware that by being a certain size, that they assume they're going to be judged by society, right? Or treated differently. And that's, I mean, with my kids, I don't want them to feel that way. I do, if anything, the conversation of weight, when it comes up in our household, it's about just being healthy. I don't care what weight you are. I don't even care what size. I just care that you are healthy.
Exactly.
Right. And not to mention that on the conversation of losing that much weight that quickly. So I remember when I went through one of my health issues, I lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks, and the doctors were freaking out, because it was literally, my body was starting to shut down at points like that. Like, to lose that much weight, some of the side effects are headaches, irritability, fatigue, dizziness, menstrual irregularities. This can contribute to women not having their menstruation anymore, and hair loss and muscle loss. Furthermore, losing that much weight, it can also cause fluctuations in heart rate and blood pressure, and can lead to somebody even having a stroke. Like, it's a young, healthy woman who loses weight too fast, or a man, can literally have a stroke. And so this is why people like myself, who have dealt with these things, really want to emphasize that it's not, like you said, ignoring the naysayers, knowing who you are, and feeling good about yourself. So you shared, what are you not only, you shared that you have these people that will say things, but I know from watching you and following you overall, you subscribe to a very healthy lifestyle, like you had said. Maybe you got a little bit healthier during the pandemic, but ultimately for you, what is, when it comes to your lifestyle, what is most important to you, and what are some of the practices and habits that you have that you feel give you a better quality of life?
I think being healthy is the number one thing, and the biggest thing that I had to learn was that it's really what you put into your body. And I know it sounds cliche, because I've heard it all my life, but I never really paid attention. But if you're eating fruits and vegetables and all these things that are for your body, made for your body, then your body's going to respond to that in a positive way, because those are the things that you're supposed to put in your body. It's just like a car. You're supposed to put fuel in a car for it to run, but if you put sugar in a car, you break it down. It's the same thing with the body. You're supposed to put this fuel, the actual natural food, into your body, but you put the sugar and these processed foods and these other things in your body, it breaks it down. That's why people get sick and things a lot, but the doctors, they don't explain that part. Of course, you go get treated, but it's the food. And so once I realized that, that's why the first thing I did in the quarantine was start a garden, because I realized that I have to take care of myself. Like even my doctor's appointment, I couldn't go to the doctor's appointment during the shutdown. You know, I had a surgery coming up for a kidney stone removal that they canceled at that time, because they were canceling a lot of surgeries. And I said, I literally have to take care of myself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That meant eating better. That means being better. And so that's the biggest thing, you know, for me. And the reason why I do the cooking videos that I do, and the reason why I do the gardening videos, because I want to inspire people like, hey, we can eat good and it can taste good and it can be healthy.
Right. Yes. And I also love how even being outside, if you're familiar with grounding, like even just like, you know, yes. overall grounding, and it's such a therapeutic and a beautiful thing to do. And I just have to say this too, when I go visit my family in Texas, they live on this beautiful ranch, and it's just wild how when I get out there, there is something about being in the middle of nature that, you know, it is a very reinvigorating thing, reinvigorating thing. And, you know, just all in all, when it comes to, you know, what I would love to see our young girls and women doing is focused on that instead of this idea of like, I've got to be a certain size or I've got to be a certain weight. Right. So let me ask you, who are the people who inspire you to do what you're doing right now? You know, who are the women that you look up to, or men?
Okay. Right. So I guess it's going to sound strange. You know, whatever. So when I was a kid, I remember during Black History Month, and we learned about Harriet Tubman. And, you know, Harriet Tubman was, you know, she's always known as the person who freed the slaves and things like that. But even as a child, I thought of her differently. Like I knew, okay, that's what she did. But I thought about it like this. I said, she was someone who was in a situation and figured out how to get out of that situation. And once she got out of that situation, she wanted to help other people get out of that situation. And that is how I kind of lived my life since when I learned about her. Was, okay, I grew up very poor, by the way. And so I was always in situations. And, you know, when you're living a certain lifestyle, or you're growing up in a certain lifestyle, you want to get out of that, or you want to live better, or you want to, you know, just, you know, be better. You have to figure out a way how to get out. And that's not always through, you know, the entertainment industry. But, you know, of course, I was a rapper. I did all this other stuff. But even before then, it was always a struggle to get out of this situation. And so once I realized I didn't have to be rich and famous. I didn't have to be, you know, this entertainer. There were other ways to get out of this situation, legal ways to get out of this situation. And I did it. Then I started to reach back to help other people get out of this situation. And so I'm still doing that even now with the pandemic and the quarantine and the lifestyle and being healthy and all those things like that. Those are still situations that people wish they can get out of. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me lead by example and helping people to get out of their situations. And so Harriet Tubman has always been one of my inspirations and one of the women that I look up to. And like I said, I knew it was going to sound weird because it's Harriet Tubman.
That does not sound weird. Please don't ever let those words come out of your mouth again. And I'm not saying that as some like, you know, right. I genuinely mean that. I think that's amazing. I think that people need to know the impact that someone like her has, and I can completely understand what you mean.
And you're right. If I heard someone else say that, I would tell them not to say that again either. So thank you.
But I feel you. I mean, you know, it's amazing though. I think that you now, because you're now, so I want you to share now you've moved, so you've done this for yourself, your family. Now you're in a community and you have other people that you're helping build, because sustainability is a thing for you. And you know what, when we're in the conversation of supply chain disruption right now, I was listening to the radio here, you know, baby formula can't even be found, depending on, you know, for parents with young children.
I heard about that.
Yes, there, you know, supply chain interruptions. To be able to be independent and actually off the grid can be very attractive to people living in situations like that. Something when I go out to the country and visit they're like, we've got all our tomatoes, we've got everything right here, cucumbers, lettuce, what do you need? We've got it. We don't have to go to the store. So you're very focused on sustainability. Talk about that. What your vision is and how you are making that happen in reality.
Yeah, so like I said, I started out doing the garden in my backyard, and I realized, just from that first year that I can really, grow my own food. And so, starting to teach people and seeing that people are into it, and a lot of people want to do this, but they just don't know, how to start or where to start. Um, it influenced me to do it bigger. And so that's when I started to do the villages. And I said, if anyone wants to buy land, you buy the land, I'll be there, I'll help you build, I'll help you grow your food, I'll help you live off the land, because we're, like you said, we're in a time where, things are hard and we don't know what the future could bring. And of course we hope it's going to be positive, but we just don't know.
Of course.
And I remember posting videos a year or two ago, well, maybe 2 years ago, about food shortages and things like that. But at the time, no one really, paid attention to that. But I knew what was happening, and I knew that it was going to be, not over really quick.
Right.
And, I thought about all those things, and I said, well, I'm starting now. And, people are starting, they're just now getting into it. Some people are just now getting into it, but it's still not too late. Just, learn what you can learn, follow those. There's a lot of people on Instagram and Facebook that are doing what I'm doing, and more. And, it's just about the willingness and you wanting to, change, but, you have to be motivated. So hopefully people seeing that you can't even find formula. You can't find, certain things that we used to be able to just go to the store willy-nilly and get 2 or 3 cans of Lysol. I remember everything. Remember when everything was like,
Yes.
oh, you can only buy 1 or 2. And I remember going to the store like, oh my God, like this is a movie. Like we're living in a movie. And so, since we're seeing all these things that we never thought possible, you have to think about that in the sense of how can I be prepared? Because it's already things that are happening that makes you understand that, you should, want to be self-sustainable. You want to be able to live off the land and, make sure that your family is provided for.
Yeah.
My kids, I have to feed my kids regardless.
Right. Absolutely. What are some of the limiting...
One second, thinking of...
Oh, go ahead.
1 second. Speaking of kids, because my daughter's run off and, we're in the middle of the woods. Can I just call her name?
Sure.
Right quick. Okay, hold on. I'm going to mute it so you guys won't hear me screaming. Hold on.
Okay. We'll probably just have to cut that part out.
Okay, I am so sorry,
No,
but I
don't
got
sorry.
a little nervous because it's been a few minutes
Sure.
since
No,
she's
no,
run
no.
off.
I know. We'll have you out here. I know we've got like just a little bit over 10 minutes left. So, but you're doing great.
I'm not rushing you. I
I totally get it. No, so in the
okay.
I know. Well, wait. Question. Hold on. Wait. 3. Wait. Before we go back, I'm gonna say. What was I asking you? I was asking you about.
We just talked about sustainability.
Shoot. Oh. I know. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. 3, 2, 1. So what have been some of the limiting beliefs, when it comes to somebody buying land and saying, I'm going to create this environment for myself and have, these opportunities? What are some of the limiting beliefs in that scenarios, like that they have to kind of overcome, do you think?
People that don't believe in themselves, mostly. It's people that want to do it or feel like I need to do it, but they don't believe that they can. But that's the beauty about what I'm doing, is because you don't have to do it yourself. When you buy into one of my villages, you're buying into a community. And that's the reason why I'm doing it this way, because when I started doing my initial videos when I was at home, a lot of people, reached out to me and said, I want to do this, but it's hard. And I want to live off grid, but it's me and I'm a single mom, or, this, that. And I said, well, if we have these villages of people, everyone working together to help each other, we barter, we trade, we're there for each other, you're not alone. And so that is the biggest thing, is, making people believe that they can do it. And I think, having that community helps people, believe in themselves, because they have that support system.
Right. No, absolutely. And that was well stated, because that's with anything, that's, like I've said, as we talked about, trusting the process and
Yes.
going about whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, believing that you can do it, having faith in the unknown. Right. I want to ask, what are some of your own personal limiting beliefs that you've had to move through? You know, life is an evolving process. I feel that us as women, and you
Yeah.
know, what are some of the biggest obstacles you yourself have had to face?
So the biggest obstacle, this is in my life period, was having my daughter. So I had my son. I was very young when I had him, too young to have a child, and I got married young as well. And over those years, we tried to have more children, and we could not. And I even tried to adopt. I cared for children, and it was always heartbreaking when they had to leave. It was years and years of crying, being depressed, wondering why I couldn't have more kids. And I felt like I was the mom who deserved, kids. And I wanted a daughter, and my son wanted a sister. And it was very hard for me. And lo and behold, 19 years later, divorced, all these life changes. And I'm, at an age where, it's time to, settle on down and, not have kids. And one day, here she is. She arrived, and I'm pregnant, and I'm sitting in the emergency room thinking I was there because, I couldn't, keep my food down. I didn't know what was going on. And that's what was going on. And so that was a huge moment for me, because I remember being depressed so many years and thinking that was never going to be for me. And then when I understood, oh, it just wasn't for me at that time. And now I have the most amazing daughter, no other child could replace. And so, that gave me this big light bulb in my life for everything else, because sometimes you want something right now, and you feel like you deserve it, and you feel like you're working hard for it, or whatever the case is, and it's not happening for you, and you don't understand why. It's not for you right now. That's all. You know what I mean? And so it made me look at things a lot differently, because I thought it would never happen. 19 years.
Wow, that exactly patience, right? But you're so right. And
Yes.
when you held your daughter in your arms, I bet you, like you said, you knew. It's like everything makes sense then,
Yeah.
right? But we don't like to hear that in the process
Yes.
while we're waiting. When people are like, "Well, it's just not,"
Yeah.
Or I remember having three miscarriages, and the nurse would come in and say, "Well, this is just God's way or nature's way," and I'm like, "I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I want,
Yeah.
and
It's
especially
hard.
because." When it comes to the conversation of childbearing, obviously a lot of us attach that to our womanhood, right? So in the vein,
Yeah.
it's interesting. In the vein of that very same concept, though, and yes, being a mother and having your daughter is a beautiful blessing, and I know but you're so grateful for that, and of course you should be. The thing is, I want to pose this to you because I have three daughters, and one of my teenagers a few years back, we were driving in the car, and she says to me, "Mom, is being a mom the best thing about being a woman?" And
Mm.
it was very interesting because I love my daughters. I love all my kids. I love my grands. I'm mitosis, it's a beautiful thing. But
Yeah.
when it comes to, is that the greatest thing about being a woman? The 40-something-year-old version of me answers different than probably the 20-year-old version or 20-something,
Yeah.
right? So, I guess I want to
Yeah.
ask you this question because while motherhood is a beautiful thing, is it the best thing about being a woman?
No, I think it's a benefit. I think the best thing about being a woman is the fact that women are very intuitive. And that is something that to me is like a superpower because it's like magic. It's intuition that helps you through life. That is, it helps you be a good mom. It helps you be a good wife. It helps you, in everything it is that you do. And that if you're thinking about things on a different level, not just, or I like to call it, this is our human level, we're having a human conversation or something like that. That's how I talk. But if you're thinking about things on a higher level, your higher self and things like that, and not to dive, deep into like all of that, but when you think about things in that way, and to understand that, I have this other power inside of me that I feel like is a superpower. Now, I'm not saying men can't be intuitive, but it is very natural for women. And it is something that I'm pretty sure even if I asked you, most women can say, oh, yeah, I'm intuitive in whatever type of way. And to me, that is the best thing about being a woman.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And and I agree. I think that, and again, I mean, I've said this before over the past few days. When it comes to, because I work a lot in the global capacity, I was actually just at the House of Lords in London in March, representing the conversation, or in a global initiative to really take on gender bias, right? And what the assumptions are about women, about us, what we're capable of doing, what we want to do, right? So, and I say that especially if a man can say, I'm going to be a CEO but get married and have kids, well, then why can't a woman have the same opportunities? Why does he get that, right? And in breaking those gender biases, I'm noticing as we're trying to do that, it also feels like the right of women are being challenged, and who in the very, with even in legislature, as we know. I mean, we're looking right now at Roe v. Wade being overturned, which will not end abortion. It will just end safe abortions, to be quite honest. People think it's going to be a solution to a problem. And whether you're for or against abortion, I'm for a woman's right to choose what to do with her body, period. Especially at a certain point, this is just as so. Because as having a child changes the course of your life, in many ways, and you should definitely have a say in that. So as we're being challenged, I feel it's important that we show up and represent all the things that we can do. So like with you in the DIY genre, I think it's hugely, you are a beautiful Black woman, single mother. Not that that's all why people should be paying attention to you. I think that's just part of the story. And I love it because even in DIY, whenever I've turned on the TV and seen Trading Spaces or all these other shows, I'm just going to be very candid. It's always a bunch of white people doing it. Right? So how nice, like for the cultural aspect, the multicultural aspect, the diversity and inclusion, for people to say, okay, well, maybe a Black woman can be my head carpenter or lead on this project. It's funny. I did a social good short on an amazing woman, Ingrid, Fighting Fire with Fire. And she's a civil engineer and an inventor. And I just love her to death because she comes from the construction sites and she just has this amazing personality. But that woman can do incredible things, right? Nobody can put a limit on what you can do except for yourself. So how do you take away, how do you remove any limitations, any ceilings from your life?
That question, for me, I never saw a ceiling. As a kid, my teachers told me, I was gifted, and the sky is the limit. Like, you could do literally whatever you want. And they're always like, when you're an adult, come back to me so I can see what you're doing, because that's how much they believed in me. Shout out to the teachers, by the way. But I never imagined a ceiling. So I always, just keep going. And I don't think I would do the things that I'm doing now, building off-grid villages, if I felt like there was a ceiling, if I felt like there was a limit. And so maybe that's something that, leading by example, and I can show people that, there are no limitations, really, especially we're here in America. We have a bunch of obstacles, yes, and we have a bunch of things against us, not only as women, but as someone that's a minority. Yes, they are there. That's the country that we live in. And we're not, like I said, we're not too far from, being oppressed and all those things. I understand all that. But do I let it limit me? No, because I see the opportunities to get out of my situation, and I take those roads instead. And I can, just stay here and complain and say, I can't do this because I'm Black, or I can't do this because I'm a woman, or whatever. Then I won't do anything.
Yep.
I'll be my life.
Yeah, agreed. And I love that. I love that you said it. And, I appreciate that you do all that you do. All right. Well, listen, before we get out of here, I do have some fun rapid fire questions for you that we're going to go through really quick in the next 2 minutes before we wrap this up. And so all I say is just be quick. It's just fun. It's for the audience to get to know a little bit more about you, but you'll enjoy them. So number one, would you rather have your dream job or win the lottery?
win the lottery and then I'll buy the business of the job that I want and I can be in there doing it whenever.
Right? I was told myself if I won the lotto, I wouldn't be one of those people that like is really stupid with the money.
I still want to work.
Right? Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What store do you shop at the most? I had to hear this one.
Just in whatever store I shop at.
Yeah. What's the store you shop at
Publix.
most? What'd you say?
The market. That's the market. I don't go like shopping for like clothes. I make my own clothes.
Right. I was figuring you were gonna say something like Lowe's or Home Depot.
I go to the market. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You know what? I have to take that back. I'm always at Home Depot. They know my name. I'm sorry. I don't know why. That's part of my life. So yeah, I'm sorry. I don't even think of Home Depot as a store. It's a place that I have to go all the time.
She's like, that's a second home. Okay.
Yeah.
If you had access to a time machine, where and when would you go?
Ooh. Can I come back? If I can come back, I would go to the future and see, what's happening out there.
Right. That's a good
if
question.
I have to go and I have to stay. Yeah, because if I have to go and I have to stay, then I'll just go back to like, maybe my childhood me and change some stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay, last question. What is your favorite rainy day activity?
Ooh, art. I love doing art. And it's just a rainy day and we're in the house, we're getting there and making some art and creating some things.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. You've been amazing, Summer. I so appreciate you. We'll have to catch up with you again. Thanks. I know we had our little issues because you're out in the middle of the woods, but I love it. Enjoy it. And we will see you again soon. And we'll put your socials, Summer Azul. Thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I love everything you're doing, by the way. And so this is for me to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to everyone at home, we want to thank you for being with us. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely stay tuned for more. We'll see you next time. And thank you for letting us be unsugarcoated.